Hello student, how are you? I hope you are safe and healthy. Today we are going to learn elasticity of demand, part of unit 2, theory of demand. Let's begin with this chapter. After going through this lesson, you will be able to know the meaning of elasticity of demand and its type, meaning, method of measurement of price elasticity, calculation of price elasticity, factor affecting price elasticity of demand. Now, what is elasticity of demand? Elasticity of demand refers to the degree of responsiveness of demand of a commodity to change in its determinants. Determinants means factor affecting demand. So these factors are, we learned in the previous chapter, they are price of the commodity, income of the consumer, price of related goods. Related goods are two types, complementary and substitute goods, future expectation, taste and preference, etc. Now, there are three types of elasticity of demand. They are price elasticity of demand, income elasticity of demand, and cross elasticity of demand. Now, what is price elasticity of demand? Price elasticity of demand refers to the degree of responsiveness of quantity demanded of a commodity to change in its price. So, if this price get changed and then if the demand is get affected, and that degree, that extent, that magnitude of the change of demand is known as price elasticity of demand. Now, income elasticity. The income elasticity of demand refers to the degree of responsiveness of the demand of a commodity to change the income of the consumer. If the income of the consumer gets changed, due to which demand gets changed, and that extent, that magnitude, that variation is known as the income elasticity of demand. And finally, we have cross elasticity of demand. Cross elasticity of demand refers to the degree of responsiveness of the demand of a commodity to change in the price of related goods. Price of related goods, that is complementary and substitute goods. If the price of substitute goods get changed, and then demand of the commodity, if it is affected, and that effect, that change, to what extent it is changing, that measuring the cross elasticity of demand. Similarly, in the complementary goods also. So these three type of elasticity of demand, we have only price elasticity of demand. We do not have more detail in income and cross elasticity. We will be learning in the higher class. So CBSE syllabus is restricted till up to the price elasticity of demand. Now we will move to the detailed learning of the price elasticity of demand. There are 5 degrees of price elasticity of demand. They are perfectly elastic demand, perfectly inelastic demand, elastic demand, inelastic demand, and unitary elastic demand. Perfectly elastic demand, when infinite change in quantity demanded of a commodity as a result of a slight change or no change in price of the commodity, is known as perfectly elastic demand. So demand is infinitely varied due to the a small change, very insignificant change in price, or there is no change in price. Then this one is known as perfectly elastic demand. The value of elasticity is, if we denote it as ED, is infinity, and the demand curve is parallel to x-axis as shown in the figure over here. The DD curve is parallel to the x-axis. If any price, look at the OP or the PX at the price of PX, and the demand is infinitely varied. Quantity could be anything at the same price. If the price is 10, if you buy 1 unit, you have to pay 10 rupees. If you buy 10 unit, you have to pay 10 rupees per unit. If you buy any number that is 1000 unit, no matter, you have to pay 10 rupees per unit. So at the fixed price, at the same price, or a very insignificant change in price due to which the demand is infinitely varied, then this situation, this elasticity of demand, we call it perfectly elastic demand, whose value of ED is equal to infinity. How it is infinity? When we calculate, we'll measure it, we'll learn it in the geometrical method. Next one is perfectly inelastic demand. When quantity demanded of a commodity is remain unchanged irrespective of any change in price, that is known as perfectly inelastic demand. Demand is constant, just opposite case of perfectly inelastic demand. Demand is constant, but then price is varied infinitely, or any change in price, demand is constant, and due to which your uh, the value of elasticity of demand is equal to 0. The demand curve is parallel to the y-axis. Over here, demand curve is parallel to the y-axis. Over here, demand curve is parallel to the x-axis in case of perfectly elastic demand. But in case of perfectly inelastic demand, demand curve is parallel to the y-axis, because at any change in price, your demand is remain will not get affected. Demand is not get affected. Any price, if your price is 10 rupees, you will buying 2 units, say for example 2 unit. If your price is 100 rupees, no matter, you will buy only 2 unit. Your demand is fixed. In that case, this one is known as perfectly inelastic demand. Next we have elastic demand. When percentage change in quantity demanded of a commodity is more than percentage change in price, is known as elastic demand. The value of elasticity is greater than 1, ED value greater than 1, and the demand curve is flatter as shown in the adjacent figure. So look at the demand curve over here, you will get idea. Over here, if the original price, if I take it OP, and this OP price you are demanding OQ unit, and when the price is decreased to OP1, your demand is increased to OQ1. And now the change, look at the change part, this PP1 is the change of price, and this one is due to this decrease in price, demand is increased by QQ1, that is delta Q is change in demand, and how much is changing, that is QQ1. Now over here QQ1 is greater than PP1. This is the important part over here, that QQ1, look at that arrow part, you will find it, this one is greater than the other part, the price change. Price is decreased little less as compared to the demand increase, and that's why, since QQ1 demand is greater than the price change in quantity demand is greater than the change in price, that is percentage change in, then it is the ED value is greater than 1. We also calculate this one when we will go to the geometric method, how it is coming. When we put the formula, we will get it, this ED value is greater than 1. Now next one is inelastic demand. When percentage change in quantity demand of a commodity is less than percentage change in price, then it is known as inelastic demand. The value of elasticity is less than 1, and the demand curve is steeper as shown in the adjacent figure. Now look at over here, demand curve is the steeper demand curve, and if I take it the original price as OP and original quantity is OQ, and then if the price price is decreased to OP1, your quantity demand is OQ1, but then price change is higher. Look at the PP1 is greater, and the change in quantity demand is very smaller, and this situation is known as the inelastic demand, where ED value is less than 1, and over here QQ1 is greater than PP1. and because of that your ED value is less than 1. Elasticity of demand is less than 1. Now finally we have unitary elastic demand. When percentage change in quantity demand of a commodity is equal to percentage change in price is known as unitary elastic demand. The value of elasticity is equal to 1, that is it equal to 1, and the demand curve as shown in the adjacent side. Look at the demand curve. Over here, when percent price is OP, the quantity demand of a commodity is OQ, and when price is changed to OP1, the quantity demand is increased to OQ1. Now, over here PP1 price change is equal to the quantity demand, the change in quantity demand, and because of that we'll find the ED value, since both are equal, so ED value is equal to 1. So that's how 5 degree of elasticity is measured. So first one we have perfectly elastic demand where ED is infinitive, perfectly inelastic demand where ED value is equal to 0, elastic demand when ED value is greater than 1, perfectly inelastic demand where ED is less than 1, and finally we have unitary elastic demand where ED is equal to 1. So these are different degrees of price elasticity of demand. Now we have measures how to calculate this price elasticity of demand. Method of measuring price elasticity of demand. There are 3 methods are there. One is called percentage or proportionate method, total expenditure or total outlay method, geometric method or point elasticity. So now we'll go one by one. First one is percentage method. Under this method, the price elasticity of demand is measured by using following formulas. Formulas are ED is equal to delta Q by delta P multiplied by P by Q. So what is delta Q then? Delta Q is equal to change in quantity demand. We learned it earlier also, that change in quantity demand. And delta P is equal to change in price of the commodity. Now P means original price, Q means original quantity, and delta P is equal to, delta Q is equal to Q1 minus Q. Q1 means new demand. What is the change demand? Minus original demand. And similarly, delta P also new price minus original price. P means original price, P1 is new price. So that's how we calculate by using this formula. ED is equal to delta Q by delta P multiplied by P into Q. This formula you have to remember it. And now we have alternatively we can calculate it, this one, ED equal to, under this method, percentage change in quantity demand divided by percentage change in price. Now percentage change in quantity demand is equal to delta Q by Q into 100, that is change in quantity demand divided by original demand into 100, and percentage change in price is equal to change in price divided by original price multiplied by 100. So that is another alternative way we can calculate this percentage price elasticity of demand under percentage method or proportionate method. Now we solve some numerical problem based on the percentage method or proportionate method. The problem is given the price of a commodity is rupees 50 per unit. Its quantity demanded is 500 unit. Its price 2 rupees 6 per unit. Price is increased to 60 per unit, and quantity demand is decreased to 410 unit. Calculate the price elasticity of demand. So we have original price. We'll just note down this point. Original price, that is P is equal to, over here is 50, and original quantity demand is 500 unit. New demand, that is Q1, is changed 410 when the price is increased to 60. Now based on that we use the formula. Now that delta Q by delta P into P by Q, and delta Q is equal to Q1 minus Q, as you have learned it in the previous slide, that Q1 minus Q is equal to change in demand. So we have Q1 value is equal to 410 and 500 is your original quantity demand. So we have minus 90 we have change in demand. Next one, change in price. So new price is rupees 60 and original price was rupees 50. So we have plus 10 is change in price. Now using the formula, now delta Q by delta P multiplied by P by Q is equal to minus 90. This minus 90 divided by 10 delta P multiplied by P means original price divided by the original quantity demand, that is 500, and if you solve it you will get minus 0.9. So therefore this minus we have to, by default we can ignore it, this one. This is by default, demand is inversely varied with the change in price, and that's what it is, minus automatically come, it's a negative relationship. So your answer definitely come minus over here. ED value, elasticity of demand, price elasticity of demand, always comes negative answer, and that negative, if you do not even write it, I mean you can write it simply 0.9, that answer also correct. So we can ignore it, but when we solve it, the problem ED value, we have to put it negative sign, unless otherwise your answer will be wrong. So our next problem is quantity demand of a commodity at a price of rupees 8 per unit is 800 unit. Its price is fall by 25% and quantity demand rises by 120 unit. Calculate the price elasticity of demand. Is the demand is elastic? Give reason for your answer. By looking at the value of the elasticity demand, you have to say whether it is elastic or inelastic, what is the degree basically, and give reason for your answer. So now we'll be solving this question over here. Given that original price as given, it is 8, original quantity is 800, and new quantity demand is 800 plus 120 units. So how it is, the 120 units is demand is rises by word is there, this by word you have to carefully observe over here. Also original was 800, now demand is rises by 120 units, and because of that your new demand is 920 units, and its percentage change in price is equal to is minus, your price is fall means negative over here, price decrease or fall, you have to put it negative sign, that is 25%. So you have to calculate now, based on this information you have to calculate the price elasticity of demand. ED we have, so quantity change in quantity demand is equal to Q1 minus Q is equal to 920 minus 800 is equal to 120, and percentage change in quantity demand is equal to, we can know the formula is here, delta Q by Q, that means change in quantity demand divided by original demand multiplied by 100, which is equal to 120. Change in quantity demand is over here, it is by means over here change, so change in quantity demand, that is 120 divided by original is given 800 multiplied by 100, you will get 15%. So therefore the elasticity of demand using the formula, alternative formula, that is percentage change in quantity demand divided by percentage change in price, we have 15% as quantity demand, change in quantity demand divided by price changes minus, as I said it, that minus is important over here, so minus 25%. If you do not put it, your answer comes wrong, and that's what you have to very careful in the negative sign over here. So by calculating this one you will get minus 0.6 and ED value therefore 0.6. 6. And since this ignoring minus sign, we'll look at the value over here, 0.6, whether it is greater than 1, whether it is less than 1, equal to 1, and all other different degree of the variation. You have to check it as we learned it previously. Now, since ED value is less than, the reason is over here, the demand of the commodity is inelastic, because when the elasticity of demand is less than 1, it is said to be inelastic demand, and when elastic demand is greater than 1, we call it it is elastic demand. It is said to be elastic demand. So since it is less than 1, 0.6, that's why it is inelastic demand. That is the reason for your answer. Moving on to the next question, we have a consumer buys 80 units of a good at a price of rupees 5 per unit. Suppose price elasticity of demand is -2. At what price will he buy 64 units? So over here, price elasticity of demand is already given. At what price, that means you have to new price, you have to calculate it. He will buy 64 units, that is new quantity demand is given 64 units. So now we'll write down the information. Given that your original price is rupees 5, original quantity demand is 80, new quantity demand is 64, 64 is new quantity demand, and ED, that is elasticity of price elasticity of demand, is given -2. We have to find it the price P1. Now we'll calculate it, and the change in quantity demand, which is equal to Q1 minus Q, new quantity demand minus original quantity demand, and that's what the 64 minus 80, as we have noted down over here. 64 is new and old is, original is 80. So if you minus it, you will get it -16. This minus, again you have to remember it, -16. And change in price is P1 minus P. So P1 we have to calculate it. So we keep this one as variable to find the value of P1, and minus P value is given, original price is given 5 rupees. So based on that, now we will calculate the new price using the formula ED is equal to delta Q by delta P multiplied by P by Q, and by putting all these values, ED value is given -2, so this ED value will be putting over here, and change in quantity demand is -16, and change in price is P1 minus 5 multiplied by original price is 5, and original quantity demand is 80. So by solving this one, if you will get it, -2 equal to -1 by over here 1. How you will just calculate, you will can cut it over here or simplify this one. 16 5 to 80, and this is also 80. So if you cut it, it will come -1 divided by P1 minus P. So if you again simplify this one, you will get P1 value is equal to 5.5. That is your new price of the commodity. So that is the at what price you are demanding 64 unit, your answer will be the new price. That means at rupees 5.5 rupees, you will be getting 64 unit, or consumer will demand 64 unit of the commodity. So that is the answer for this question. We move to the next question. In this question, a consumer buys 10 unit of a good at a price of rupees 15 per unit. When the price falls to rupees 9 per unit, he spent. The word is spent, expenditure, total expenditure, not the price. He spent rupees 144 rupees on the goods, and calculate the price elasticity of demand using percentage method. So now we have the new quantity demand. You have to find it out. And how to find it? Now total expenditure, the amount he spent for buying of the commodity at rupees 9 per unit. So you have to find it that new quantity demand is 16 units. So total, simple way, that you have spended, your expenditure is 144 and the price of the commodity is 9 per unit. So what is the total unit you buy it? So what will do it? Then total expenditure or total cost divided by price per unit. So if you divide it, you will get new quantity demand, that is Q1 equal to 16 unit, and the new quantity demand is at new price is equal to is 16 unit. Now percentage change in price is equal to, we'll just use delta P, that is change in price divided by original price into 100, and this one is equal, if you calculate it, you will get 9 minus 15 by 15 equal to into 100 is equal to minus 40%, and percentage change in quantity demand is equal to again delta Q by P, Q into 100, that is 16 minus 10. 16 we already got it over here, 16 is new and old is given, means original is given 10 unit. So change is equal to 16 minus 10 by 10 original, delta Q means Q1 minus Q. So Q1 minus Q by Q multiplied by 100, so it will come 60%. So therefore ED is equal to, by using formula percentage change in quantity demand divided by percentage change in price, is equal to 60% by 40% is equal to 1.6. So that's how this question we calculate or we solve it. Over here you have to remember the important point, that spend is given, total expenditure is given. This part if you missed it, then your problem, if your answer will be coming wrong. So you have to be careful that whether it is price given or quantity given or total expenditure given. If total expenditure given, then you have to find out the price or quantity, new quantity or any quantity or price, you can use it by using this formula. Now total expenditure method. Total expenditure method, if the total expenditure increase with a fall in price and vice versa, that is inversely varied, then elasticity of demand is greater than unity, greater than 1. So under total expenditure method, only 3 degree of elasticity is measured. They are elastic, inelastic and unitary. Perfectly elastic and perfectly inelastic demand is not measured under total expenditure method. So now the second condition is that if the total expenditure decrease with fall in price and vice versa, means opposite, direct variation, then the elasticity of demand is less than 1. So that is inelastic demand. If total expenditure remain unchanged with fall or rise in price, the elasticity of demand is equal to 1 or unity, and that is it is equal to 1. Now we have given one illustration over here, situation 1, situation 2, situation 3. Look at the price over here. Price situation 1, price initial price is 6, it is decreased to 5. So as a result, your law of demand should be followed here, and that quantity demand will be increased. As price decrease, quantity demand will increase. But as you multiply the total expenditure how will you get it? 6 multiplied by 8. So 6, 8 multiplied, if you get it 48, and 5 into 10, that is 50. Now you have to compare it over here, that your total expenditure is increased. Earlier it was 48, now it is 50. How? Now when price is decreased, your total expenditure increase. Look at increase over here, increase, it is decrease. So inverse variation, opposite direction. Price is decrease, expenditure is increase. These two column you have to compare it. Now total expenditure is inversely varied with the price, that's why it is ED greater than 1. The situation 2 is there, same price I have taken over here, 6 initial price, and price is decreased to 5, and as a result your quantity demand, since price is decreased, quantity demand is increased from 5 to 6, and due to which you multiplied over here 6 into 5, it is 30, and 5 into 6 is 30. The total expenditure remain unchanged, same, it is remain same, 30 and 30. Price is decreased, but then expenditure is remain same. So if total expenditure remain unchanged with the change in price, then it will be known as unitary elastic demand, and this ED value is equal to 1. Situation 3 is saying that your same price and 6 and 5, your quant demand earlier it was initially it is 8, and it is since price is decreased, your quant demand is increased, that is 9, and if you multiply you will get it. The earlier it was 48 and now it is 45. So as price is decreased, total expenditure is also decreased 48 to 45. So price is decreased, expenditure also decrease, same direction. Price decrease, total expenditure decrease. So since it is directly varied with the price change, total expenditure is directly varied with the price change, therefore ED value is less than 1. So these three situation we can measure under total expenditure method. You have to check it that what is the change in price and due to which the total effect on total expenditure. If it is inversely varied, then it is greater than 1. If it is remain unchanged, it is equal to 0, equal to 1. If it is directly varied, same direction, it is increase, increase, decrease, decrease, then it is less than 1. So that's the three situation under which three magnitude of the elasticity of demand or degree of elasticity of demand is measured under total expenditure method or total outlay method. We go to the last method, that is the geometric method of elasticity of demand. So under which under geometric method elasticity of demand is measured a straight line demand curve using the following formula, and the formula is ED is equal to lower segment of a point on demand curve divided by upper segment of a point on demand curve. Lower segment, simply way it is lower segment of a demand curve divided by upper segment of a demand curve from a point. So now based on that, in the adjacent diagram you will find a negatively AE is a negatively sloped straight line demand curve joining two axes, x-axis and y-axis. We have to join it, then it will be easier to calculate it under geometric method. So this one, look at the demand curve. Demand curve is intersecting x-axis and y-axis, and we measure it any point, will take it any point on the demand curve, and based on the formula which is given over here, we calculate the elasticity of demand. So we'll take it first midpoint, that is C. If I take it the midpoint, this midpoint is C. I mean the both the part is apparently it seems to be equal. So now in the point C, as the formula said, lower segment divided by upper segment. So lower segment is CE, over here CE is lower segment, upper segment is AC. So CE by AC, and since C is the midpoint, that means AC and CE both are equal, and that's why if you equal things, if you divide by equal things, 2 by 2 equal to 1, 5 by 5 equal to 1. So equal things if you divide, then you will get it 1. So that's why at the point C you will get ED value is equal to 1. Now we'll move to the another point, say point A. So in the point A we will find the lower segment is equal to AE total demand curve, and the upper segment is nothing, it is 0, and that's what 0 is given. So since AE by denominator is 0, denominator 0 means it is infinity, you cannot calculate it, it is undefined. That's what the ED is infinity. Remember I told you before that 5 degree of elasticity, how the value is coming over here 1, how it is infinity, how it is 0, it is greater than 1, less than 1, all will be finding in this geometric method. So that's how we get ED value at point E is equal to infinity. Now next one, we go to the point B. Now as per the formula, lower segment divided by upper segment. Lower segment is BE and upper segment is AB. Now look at lower segment BE is greater. Lower segment from this BE is greater, and then the upper segment, that is AB. So since BE is greater than upper segment that is AB, therefore ED is equal to 1. Why? because your in fraction, think it that your fraction numerator is greater than denominator is smaller, then you will find if you divide it, you will get value comes always greater than 1. Like for example 3 by 2, if you divide it, 3 means numerator is 3, denominator is 2, so 3 if you divide by 2 you will get 1.5, which is greater than 1. So same way, if you take it any value numerator greater, it comes as a improper fraction, as we learn it in the class 7. So based on that you can able to judge that whether it is ED value greater than 1 or less than 1. Now moving on to the next part, the point D. In the point D, we will find lower segment is equal to DE and upper segment is AD. So obviously you will find it AD is greater, that is denominator is greater and numerator is smaller. So that's what DE is less than AD. That's why your ED value is equal to 1. As I have taken example that in fraction, if you take the numerator value smaller and the denominator is greater, your value always comes less than 1. Like for example, I take 1 by 2, half means 0.5, so it is less than 1. So that's how we calculate the elasticity of demand in different point. And last point, we will go to the at point E, and at point E we will find it that lower segment is 0, upper segment is total demand curve, that is AE, and 0 divided by AE you will get, obviously if your numerator is 0, so if in a fraction numerator 0, you will get the value 0. That's how 5 degrees of elasticity of demand is measured under elasticity of demand. So that is the geometric method or point elasticity. Moving on to the next, they are the factor affecting the magnitude of the price elasticity of demand, or factor affecting price elasticity of demand. So under which the first factor is the nature of the commodity. If the nature are necessary, commodity are luxurious goods or necessary goods. If the necessary goods, even the price is increased, people will buy the almost same quantity of goods, means the demand will be less responded, and because of that elasticity of demand is less than 1. Whereas the luxurious commodity like car, AC, etc., if the price small changes in price, people will demand less of the commodity, means demand will be responding over here more, and that's what it is greater than 1. So that's the nature of commodity. Next one is availability of the close substitute. The goods which have more substitute goods has greater elasticity, and the goods which are less substitute goods, then it has inelastic goods or less than 1, over here less than 1. The same way, the alternative uses of the commodity. If the commodity has more number of uses, more uses are there, and then you will find there is a elastic demand. And if few uses is there for a commodity, your few uses is there, then it is inelastic demand, like milk, electricity, these are many uses are there. So you can if its demand is increase, price is increase a large amount, if price is increase, then people will demanding less of that commodity, they will go for substitute of the uses of this commodity, and that's why demand will be very greater. And if there is less uses are there, then you will be getting the elasticity of demand is less, less than 1. Next one is proportion of expenditure spent on the commodity. If your cost of the commodity relatively higher as compared to the total income of the consumer, then the more uh, price elasticity will be there, or vice versa. That means if you are spending your more spending on a commodity, the percentage is higher as compared to your income. Suppose your income is monthly income is 10,000 and you are spending, for example, 5,000 on a commodity, and in that case if that commodity price is slightly increase, then your demand will get a fall, because your maximum total income is going on that commodity. So you have to think of that, whether you can go for substitute goods or any other alternatives available. So that's how the major portion of your total income, if it is spending on a particular commodity, and that price, that commodity price, if it is increased, then the elasticity of demand will be greater than 1. But if it is small proportion of your total income you are spending on a commodity, like for example you are buying needles or match box, etc., a small rupee, I mean 2 rupees, 5 rupees over here, so it does not make sense that even the price is 100% increase, 1 to 2 rupees if it is there, does not make any sense that you are not going to buy it. You will not bother it that instead of paying 1 rupee and shopkeeper is asking 2 rupees, you don't bother over here, you make the payment of that 2 rupees and you get it. So your demand is not responding that way when your proportion of expenditure is less as compared to your income. So then your inelastic demand will be observed. And the next one we have the time period. The elasticity of demand is high over long period of time as compared to the short period, because during short period of time consumption habit to be stable and vice versa. So that's what the proportionate, that is the factor affecting the price elasticity of demand. So that's all this chapter, and